Volpan, why?
Foretales was up against some tough odds, and not because of the game, but because of me. Between overwhelming exhaustion from my second job and this month's edition of Shark Week, I wasn't in the state of mind to enjoy anything. And try as I might, I am still human, affected by this bag of fluids we call a body. So when I saw my next game to review was a story-driven card game, I internally groaned. But Foretales assuaged all concerns and swept me into a choice-driven and rich narrative that rides the balance between playful and dark, following a band of thieves attempting to save the world through glimpses of potential futures. Intrigued? If you aren't, I'd like to offer my condolences for the passing of your inner child, but maybe this indie delight can resurrect that child for you. Hearthstone meets Reigns meets Disney's Robin Hood. Foretales takes incredible game design and artistic influence from media giants. We start off a bit tropey with the plot. Follow Volpan, a shoebill thief hoping to do some final jobs with his friend Leo, an ex-assassin tiger. This'll be the last gig, they say, except of course it isn't. A simple robbery job turns into a romp to save the world from certain doom, or bring it closer. That's where the choice part of Foretales comes in, because your story can vary wildly depending on how you approach the many characters and events on your path. So far, I have played through 2 storylines with little to no overlap, and there's no BS, she will remember that garbage here. What happens to yourself, your compatriots, and the world around you adjusts to every single decision you make, down to your kill count. And apart from that, I'm leaving the rest of the story a surprise for when you play. Because you will. I say this in jest, cause by the end of the review, I think you'll be more than compelled to give this indie a go. Funny, I'm so funny. Laugh for me, please type in the comments that I'm funny. The gameplay consists of matching cards to trigger events, combat enemies, and advance the plot. Your characters have unique skills such as pickpocketing, send in a little bug to get help, or sniff out a person, place, or a thing. You also gain consumables ranging from money to fame to a gardener who can guide you through a maze. All these items are consumable and hard to come by, so plan strategically what you will need or want. Now you might be saying, this is my first playthrough. How do I know what I'll need? Well, that's by dying, of course. You'll have quite a lot of that, not in an obnoxious way, but there's a point in the game where if you've been coasting, as I was, and you weren't giving the mechanics as much attention as you should have, ooh, time to restart with a new playthrough, which is what I did. As long as you pay attention to all the mechanics from the get-go, you won't go through my issue, but the game does amp up in difficulty as you continue along the game, but I would say in a satisfying way, where it's challenging and there's a nice pressure without being overwhelming. Or you can abuse the hint system as I did later on, which gets more and more explicit in its hints as you keep using it on that particular challenge. Knowing what to do doesn't mean you'll always be able to do it though, since often I found that only retroactively did I realize another path I could have taken to resolve a conflict. You can escape every single conflict encounter through non-violent means, or slice and dice anyone that gets in your way. For instance, guards might be more prone to ambush you if you've been slaughtering people left and right, or the town people could label you a hero and be more likely to help you. Either way, your fame and infamy are equally open options. If the cards right now look a bit intimidating to you, I promise that Foretales keeps it at a fair pace in teaching you all the new mechanics, how to incorporate them, and how to start reading card actions at a glance, so you don't agonize over whether the right decision is to use your fame to scare off the baddies or pay them off. Outside of these encounters, you explore a main map that has all the story choices you can make. Future choices, the potential consequences if you don't or can't intervene, and dozens of hidden potential futures that you'll explore on your next turn. For some reason, despite this being the less involved, story-filled, anything-filled part of the game, the world map was one of my favorite backgrounds because it served as a reminder of the larger cosmic-like plot going on, and it really just reminded me of classic adventure films of my youth, like the aforementioned Disney's Robin Hood, otherwise known as the 90s sexual awakening of furries. The art is reminiscent without entering full fox human territory. And for the most part, the characters' bodies in Foretales are not over anthropomorphized. Someone might still want to fuck these animals, but that's not the game's fault. Kidding. Be a furry. I don't care. And finally, the music. Bard tavern music, or as you common peasants might describe as witcher-like. A delightful lyre plucks in the background, amping up with more instruments and intensity depending on the scene. Accompanying the score is the narrator, whose voice sounds like it was literally plucked from my dreams as a child while reading an adventure book. Playful and intense, this voice actor made the game for me. And listening to his voice, it should come as no surprise that he has voiced characters in many animated shows, more than I can count. This game, without a second thought, is a Golden Genie Lamp winner for me. Take a trip into memory lanes of adventure stories, but with all the bells and whistles of a modern day game. Foretales is an exemplar of the genre that you cannot miss out on.
Wake up, sleepyhead. The world's still ending, in case you forgot.